Hey, my little navigator readers, this is Mrs. Mahar coming at you with a third notebooking strategy. This one applies to our depth and complexity icons that we use in fifth grade, that we use in GATE education. These icons are meant to get you thinking in a variety of ways. Not all of these icons will be useful throughout all the sections or chapters of your book, and some won't even really apply in the book as a whole. It just kind of depends on the genre that you're reading. Although all of these questions are geared towards literature, that is fiction. These are not the thinking stems that you would use if you were reading informational text. So using the depth and complexity icons in your reader's workshop time to think about your book and to then jot can be a very useful tool to just looking at the book from a different perspective or through a different lens. So there are 11 icons, and I'm not going to go into detail about all 11, but you can see 6 of them here. And then here are all 11. The 6 from the first page are on the right, and then the 5 on the left. So there are 11 depth and complexity icons, and what you're going to want to do first is familiarize yourself with the icons and the questions with each. I don't mean that I want you to spend a reader's workshop period reading all of these, 50 or 60 questions that are listed, but maybe read a couple and just kind of get the gist of what that icon means. Some of them are very self-explanatory, like patterns, looking at things from multiple perspectives, the big idea, unanswered questions, that should be pretty obvious, trends or rules. A lot of these should be pretty obvious, but the thinking stems on these pieces of cardstock will give you some ideas to use when you're reading. Now you're going to get a copy of this. It is printed on pink cardstock front and back. You are going to put it into a sheet protector, and you are going to put it into the 12 pocket expanding folder that you have in the reading section. And then during reading, if you have that with you, you can pull that out. You could also slip this in your reader's notebook on a day that you want to try to use it. Step 2 is to prepare the page that you will use. I actually had an old grid in my laptop. It actually has 2 icons that are not depth and complexity icons. They are one of our set of 5 other thinking icons, paradox and parallel in the second row. I didn't notice the typo until I had already glued it in. So you'll see a change on the next slide where I just kind of scribbled them out and replaced them with actual icons. And then I did keep paradox and parallel because they are kind of cool ways to look at books and characters, how they're different or alike. Parallel is basically similarities, paradox is differences. So step 2 is to prepare the page. I will have a grid for you that looks pretty much just like this, but with the correct 11 icons pictured, and you will have access to those whenever you want. You can print one digitally, cut it out and glue it in, and I will also have some printed for you in the classroom. You could throw a couple of them in your sheet protector with your cardstock page, your pink cardstock page, and you can use that. So that is step 2, is just to prepare the page. If you don't want to glue in a grid, you can actually just divide a paper up into 12 sections. You'll only use 11 of them, but you should be able to do that pretty easily with a pencil and a ruler and just draw your icons in. It doesn't take very long to draw these. So either way, your second step is to prepare a page. You might even want to prepare 2 pages if it's something you're going to come back to again and again and again, which is recommended because these boxes will fill up very quickly if you're using this throughout your reading of an entire book, and it'll allow you some more space to write. The third step, and the most important step, is to actually just have this page open and to just start jotting as you're reading. Now, it takes some training to get used to thinking about all of these in your head, but you'll get the hang of it the more we work on these icons in different subject areas throughout the year. So for me, one of my favorite is multiple perspectives because I really like analyzing a text from a variety of perspectives. And with a book like our read aloud book, Restart by Gordon Korman, it's actually a perfect book to use this lens because it is told in various perspectives as you move through the chapter. So you can see that I've jotted something there. I've also jotted something for language of the discipline that I've noticed the author is using very easy kid-like jargon. It's like conversation jargon. There's even a text message thread between Shoshana and her brother that appears in the text. So it's very reader friendly for young readers, I was noticing, which I know was a craft move on the author's part, which is something in the language of the discipline question stems that talks about the language that the author chose. I wrote something about ethics and how bullying is so wrong. I don't have a lot of room to write long and strong about this. These are just some jots, some initial thoughts that I could then take into more elaborate writing or even into a zoom in. And then you'll see I put relate over time, Chase is changing over time, and then a couple of big ideas or themes that I've noticed are you can be whoever you want to be and people can change. And I will be adding to this grid as we read the rest of our book. So that is a third notebooking strategy. I have some suggestions for you. One suggestion is to pick one or two every time you read and focus on those, or even to start just one. And as you read a chapter or a section of your book, just think about the questions in that section on your pink cardstock page and just jot in that one box. And then for the next chapter, pick a completely different icon. Now, some of these icons work better at the end of your book than they do throughout the book, but some work great all the way through and you can use them really at any time. So that is a third notebooking strategy that I want you to try in today's reading.